And I was really blown away by Alan uh, as a very charismatic kid who is very magnetic, someone who I just want to watch. But what was difficult for me was I kept thinking he's only 7 years old. Um, that's going to mean that our production hours are shortened. It also means it's going to be so challenging for me because I mean, my daughter's 6 years old and I can barely have her do anything I want her to do. I had no idea how I was going to direct a 7-year-old kid.
Obviously, it's a very specific story, but it's also there's a kind of universality about it in the way that family is depicted. It
Mm.
feels just so familiar on so many ways, and I think key to that is the relationship that the older actors have with the children. The children are so great, but I just wondered how you go, and this is a question for both of you, I suppose, is how do you go about creating that kind of dynamic, which feels so persuasive, a family dynamic between some very young actors and you. So I guess, first of all, can you talk about, you working with the children, and then Isaac, if you wouldn't mind talking about the casting process.
Mm. Well, I mean, the Alan and Noel are incredible. They keep you honest. They keep it, at least for me, and I think the other actors, older actors as well. It just kept us locked in because they would go where you went, and if you were telling a truth, they would go with your truth. Sometimes, in some ways reflect back that what you're saying might not be as truthful either. So it was this really nice kind of purity to the dynamic that I think was so important. I think what you say about family is a very it is kind of the central theme that I think we were all touching too about this film. And one of the things that I think Isaac and I talked about a lot, and we made sure that was going to be an important part of it, was making sure that we didn't romanticize, or we didn't tell it in I kind of, like I said, like a specific gaze, but rather just fully in its good and bad and in its fullness. And so when there are no barriers of access, like when you say like this is a cultural movie about Korean Americans and it's for Korean Americans, I think there can be a barrier put up that doesn't allow access for people to see it as clear. And so, for us, we really just wanted to speak of these people as the human beings that they are, and that the cultural specificities are just going to be encoded into the entirety of the movie. They're just going to be embedded into the movie. And I think, approaching it from that point and not explaining it to anybody might have also opened a door for people to access this as a father, as a mother, as, as a family. And that was something that we talked a lot about.
So yeah, Isaac, as I sort of briefly mentioned, the children are so central to the film and to the success of the film. Mm. The quality of child performance is a very crucial thing, and it can sink a film if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So getting the casting must have been incredibly crucial. Can you just talk about the process of the casting and how you found these two incredible young actors?
Well, I got to tell you, we had such a shortened schedule for prep on this film that we cast all the adults, and then I found out that we really only have 6 weeks to cast these two kids. And you hear a lot of stories of directors who spent a year looking for the right child, discovering a talent, and we didn't have that. We had 6 weeks, but we had an all-star casting agent named Julia Kim, who just put out flyers in all kinds of places, and places where a lot of Korean American kids who can speak both Korean and English might be congregating. And I told her that I think we need to find maybe kids who are at least 9 years old, because of the rigors of set and just how difficult the shoot will be. And we were getting lots of tapes in, and lo and behold, this child sends in a tape who is 7 years old, and his mother just thought, well, our Alan Kim, he can do this, and I watched that tape, and I was really blown away by Alan as a very charismatic kid who is very magnetic, someone who I just want to watch. But what was difficult for me was I kept thinking, he's only 7 years old. That's going to mean that our production hours are shortened. It also means it's going to be so challenging for me because, I mean, my daughter's 6 years old and I can barely have her do anything I want her to do. I had no idea how I was going to direct a 7-year-old kid. But we did an audition with him just because he was so, he had this natural presence and talent. And he came in and did some scenes with Steven, and I felt those were electric. Those just went really well. And once we decided to take the gamble and work with Alan, he came on set, and all my worries went away. I mean, he was, the way that he works, I treated him like a professional, and he acted like a professional in return. He was incredible, and the same goes for Noelle as well. She hadn't acted before in anything, and it's almost like she just knew what to do. I also want to credit their parents, because their parents were a large part of the set. They would stand nearby with juice boxes and all the things that kids need at that age, and made sure that the kids would learn their lines. And at the end of the day, it just felt like this was a family affair. Like, all of us were working together to get the best out of the kids, and all of us were really helping each other out. And it was a wonderful experience in that way, and really disproves that whole idea of never working with kids and animals. You get the right kids, and it's really a joy.
I particularly love the dynamic between Alan and Yeun, who plays his grandmother, which I think was really sparky. I mean, how were they? Did they have that kind of relationship when the cameras were turned off? Was there sort of a quite sort of feisty, fun relationship between them?
If I remember correctly, they tried to. I mean, Yeun Lee Chung, she stayed in character in a way for Alan, to make sure that Alan stays in his own emotional mindset to be really present with her. So she was very giving in that way. I think she saved a lot of the very funny battles for the camera, because we didn't want to waste those moments. So we would do things where we make sure to set up the camera to catch his reaction first, and then Yeun Lee Chung would do the scenes again when we're covering her, and just deliver it in the same fresh way. But we would always try to capture Alan's very fresh reaction to things that she was doing. So that, yeah, you're very right. That relationship itself brings out a strong performance in both of them. There's something that exists between them that creates that.